For decades, the global auto industry followed a predictable script. Europe led in engineering, Japan perfected reliability, and America dominated with scale and innovation. China was often viewed as the world's factory, a place where cars were built cheaply rather than invented. But over the last few years, that narrative has collapsed at breathtaking speed. Now, China isn't just competing in the automotive world. It's rewriting the rules entirely. And with its latest announcement, the country may have triggered the biggest transformation the global car market has seen since the invention of the assembly line. The announcement wasn't simply about launching another electric vehicle or opening another factory. It represented a strategic shift that could reshape manufacturing, pricing, battery technology, exports, and even the balance of power among the world's biggest automakers. What shocked industry experts wasn't just the scale of China's ambition, it was how quickly those ambitions were becoming reality. China has already become the world's largest producer and exporter of automobiles. Only a few years ago, Japanese manufacturers comfortably held the export crown, while German luxury brands dominated premium markets and American companies shaped the future of EVs. Today, Chinese manufacturers are shipping millions of vehicles across Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America, Australia, Africa, and even challenging established brands in markets that once seemed untouchable. The latest announcement accelerated that momentum dramatically. Chinese automakers revealed plans to significantly expand production capacity while simultaneously reducing manufacturing costs through deeper vertical integration. Instead of relying on dozens of suppliers scattered across different countries, many Chinese companies now control nearly every step of production, from mining raw materials to battery manufacturing, software development, chip integration, and final vehicle assembly. That level of control allows them to respond to market changes with incredible speed while keeping costs remarkably low. For traditional automakers, this is a nightmare scenario. Companies like Volkswagen, Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, and even Toyota have spent decades building complex global supply chains. Those systems were designed for efficiency in a predictable world. But today's market is anything but predictable. Raw material prices fluctuate rapidly. Shipping routes face disruptions. Geopolitical tensions create uncertainty. Meanwhile, Chinese manufacturers can adjust production almost instantly because much of the supply chain exists within their own ecosystem. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of the announcement was pricing. China signaled that it intends to continue driving EV prices even lower, despite already offering some of the world's most affordable electric cars. For consumers, this sounds like fantastic news. For competitors, it represents an existential threat. Imagine trying to sell an electric vehicle for $40,000 when another company offers a similar vehicle with comparable technology for under $20,000. That gap isn't simply about profits. It changes consumer expectations forever. Once buyers realize advanced EV technology doesn't have to carry luxury pricing, the entire market shifts. This aggressive pricing strategy has already forced several global automakers to slash prices repeatedly. Some companies have accepted lower profit margins just to remain competitive. Others have delayed expansion plans altogether because matching Chinese prices would mean losing money on every vehicle sold. China's announcement suggests this pressure is only beginning. One major reason Chinese companies can sustain these prices is battery dominance. Batteries account for the largest cost component in electric vehicles, often representing around 1/3 or even more of total production costs. Chinese manufacturers have spent years investing billions into battery chemistry, large-scale production, recycling systems, and raw material processing. Today, China controls a significant portion of the global battery supply chain. Even batteries manufactured elsewhere frequently rely on Chinese processed materials or Chinese technology. That gives domestic automakers a tremendous advantage when producing affordable electric vehicles. The newest generation of batteries promises even more disruption. Improvements in energy density, charging speed, longevity, and manufacturing efficiency continue arriving faster than many analysts predicted. Every breakthrough makes EVs cheaper, lighter, and more attractive to mainstream buyers. But hardware tells only part of the story. Modern vehicles increasingly resemble smartphones on wheels. Software now controls everything from navigation and entertainment to battery optimization, autonomous driving features, safety systems, and over-the-air updates. Chinese companies recognized this trend early and invested heavily in software engineering. Unlike many traditional automakers that outsource software development or struggle with outdated operating systems, Chinese EV makers often build their software entirely in-house. This allows rapid feature updates, smoother user experiences, and faster innovation cycles. Consumers no longer wait years for new technology to appear in the next vehicle generation. Features can simply arrive through software updates. Artificial intelligence has become another major battlefield. China's latest announcement emphasized deeper AI integration throughout vehicle ecosystems. Future cars won't simply drive efficiently. They'll learn driver habits, optimize routes based on real-time conditions, predict maintenance before failures occur, communicate with charging infrastructure, and eventually support increasingly advanced autonomous capabilities. The automotive industry is gradually becoming a technology industry. That's a transition many legacy manufacturers underestimated. For decades, success depended on engine design, transmission reliability, manufacturing quality, and dealership networks. Those strengths remain valuable. But software, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, battery management, and cloud connectivity now influence purchasing decisions just as much. Chinese companies entered the market without decades of internal combustion experience, but that may actually have been an advantage. They weren't burdened by legacy technologies or outdated manufacturing systems. Instead, they built companies specifically for the electric age. Another element of the announcement involved international expansion. Chinese automakers are no longer satisfied exporting vehicles alone. They're investing directly in overseas manufacturing facilities, research centers, design studios, and distribution networks. Building vehicles closer to customers helps reduce shipping costs while avoiding certain import tariffs and trade barriers. Europe has already become a key target. Despite growing regulatory scrutiny, Chinese brands continue gaining market share. Consumers often discover that these vehicles offer impressive technology, modern interiors, long driving ranges, and competitive pricing that established manufacturers struggle to match. Southeast Asia represents another enormous opportunity. Many countries in the region are transitioning toward electric transportation while still maintaining highly price-sensitive markets. Affordable Chinese EVs fit those conditions almost perfectly. Latin America and Africa could follow similar paths. As charging infrastructure expands and battery costs continue falling, inexpensive electric vehicles become increasingly attractive alternatives to gasoline-powered transportation. Chinese manufacturers appear determined to establish early leadership before competitors fully adapt. Of course, this rapid rise has triggered political reactions worldwide. Governments worry that domestic manufacturers may lose competitiveness. Some fear excessive dependence on Chinese supply chains for strategically important technologies. Others argue that government subsidies have helped Chinese companies achieve unfair advantages. In response, tariffs, trade investigations, and stricter regulations have emerged across multiple regions. But tariffs alone may not solve the problem. If Chinese manufacturers continue improving efficiency faster than competitors can innovate, they may remain competitive even after additional import costs. Furthermore, local manufacturing investments could reduce tariff exposure altogether. The competitive landscape has entered entirely new territory. Tesla, once considered nearly untouchable in the EV market, now faces relentless pressure from multiple Chinese rivals introducing vehicles at astonishing speed. New models appear every few months rather than every few years. Features once considered premium become standard almost overnight. Legacy manufacturers face an even more difficult challenge. They must simultaneously maintain profitable gasoline vehicle businesses while investing enormous sums into electric platforms, battery factories, software ecosystems, autonomous driving, and new manufacturing technologies. That's an extraordinarily expensive balancing act. Chinese companies, by comparison, often focus almost entirely on the electric future. Consumers ultimately stand to benefit from this competition. Lower prices, better technology, longer driving ranges, faster charging, smarter software, and greater model variety all emerge when manufacturers compete aggressively. Yet the industry itself may experience painful consolidation. Not every automaker will survive this transition unchanged. History shows that technological revolutions often eliminate companies that fail to adapt quickly enough. The smartphone revolution transformed Nokia, BlackBerry, Motorola, and countless others. Digital photography reshaped the camera industry. Streaming transformed entertainment. The automotive industry now appears to be entering a similar phase. Factories designed around internal combustion engines may require expensive modernization. Workers must learn entirely new manufacturing processes. Suppliers specializing in engine components face uncertain futures as electric drivetrains require far fewer moving parts. Entire economic ecosystems built around traditional automobiles may need reinvention. China seems prepared for that future. Its strategy extends beyond simply selling cars. It encompasses batteries, renewable energy, charging infrastructure, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, robotics, mineral processing, software platforms, and smart manufacturing. Each sector strengthens the others, creating an integrated ecosystem that's increasingly difficult for competitors to replicate quickly. That's what makes the latest announcement so significant. It wasn't merely another product launch. It was a declaration that China intends to accelerate every aspect of automotive transformation simultaneously. Whether the world is ready or not, the pace of change appears unlikely to slow. Automakers across the globe now face one unavoidable reality. Competing against China no longer means matching one company or one vehicle. It means competing against an entire industrial ecosystem designed to innovate faster, manufacture cheaper, and scale more rapidly than almost anyone imagined possible. The biggest question is no longer whether Chinese automakers will become global leaders. In many markets, they already are. The real question is how quickly the rest of the automotive industry can reinvent itself before the gap becomes impossible to close. One thing is certain: the traditional rules of the car business are disappearing. Companies that dominated for generations can no longer rely on reputation alone. Innovation, affordability, software, battery technology, and manufacturing efficiency now determine success. China's latest announcement has made that message unmistakably clear. The race is no longer about building better engines or producing more vehicles. It's about defining the future of mobility itself. And judging by the speed of recent developments, that future may arrive much sooner than anyone expected.